Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining this virtual press conference today. The speakers are Senator Patty Murray, Washington State Insurance Commissioner Patty Kuderer, and Bridget Prevalenko from Bellingham, who is going to share her family's healthcare story. This call is being recorded and will be distributed widely after it concludes. After each of the speakers have given their remarks, we'll have time for questions from any reporters in attendance. And at that point, we'll ask folks to use the raise hand function and say their name outlet before asking their question. And with that, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Senator Murray to kick us off.
Well, good morning, and thank you all for joining us on this call today, because right now families in Washington State and across the country are window shopping for health insurance coverage for next year. And they are coming face to face with the reality that their monthly premiums are set to skyrocket, all because of Republicans' inaction. Democrats have been clear all year long. We want to stop these price hikes, and we want to save the ACA tax credits that millions of our families rely on. But Republicans have been silent, or worse, they've shrugged their shoulders. They've essentially said, don't look at me, I never wanted to lower health care costs in the first place. So they have literally now shut the government down instead of talking with Democrats about health care, which is probably because Republicans don't even have the tiniest inkling of an actual health care plan. They never have. But Democrats have a pretty simple plan to address the immediate crisis: save the tax credits and stop premiums from doubling, tripling, quadrupling, or worse. And now Republicans may have shut down the government over this, but they will not shut down the debate. People in Washington State and across the country are not going to be silent when they log on and see their monthly premium is going to go through the roof. They are already speaking out. There are over 220,000 people in Washington State alone who rely on the premium tax credits so they can afford their health insurance. And that is literally just 1% of the 22 million people in the country who rely on them. In our state, families who lose this support are going to see their premiums more than double on average. I'm hearing from families who've done the math and gotten their notices. They checked online and learned their health insurance plans will cost hundreds, and in some cases, thousands more each month. I have heard from families trying to figure out if they can go without daily necessities, maybe have fewer or smaller meals. I heard from small business owners wondering if they'll just have to close up their shop and look for a job with an employer who has sponsored health coverage. I've heard from people who simply cannot afford it no matter what and are just preparing to go without health insurance next year. They're skipping their checkups, they're rationing prescriptions, and they're rolling the dice on their health. This is heartbreaking. It is happening nationwide, and it is completely unacceptable to me. The Republican response has been silence. The Republican solution is later. I'm going to keep shouting it from the rooftops. Later is too late. People are window shopping for health plans now. Open enrollment is this Saturday. That's when these price hikes really become a reality, and families who feel priced out of their coverage may just give up. Every single day Republicans waste, this problem is going to get worse and harder to solve. Every day. So we are not going to stop sounding this alarm. We are not going to stop lifting up the stories of real families who are facing real price hikes that Republicans want to pretend don't exist. And we're not going to stop demanding they join us at the table and work on actually solving this and reopening the government as soon as possible. If Republicans want to bury their heads in the sand or plug their ears, that's their choice. But guess what? We're going to bring a shovel and we'll bring a megaphone, and we will do everything we can to make sure the American people are heard. So thank you all for being here again, and I'm really glad today to be joined by two people who can speak about this issue firsthand. We'll hear from Patty Kuderer. She is our insurance commissioner in Washington State, and Bridget from Bellingham. Bridget, thank you for being here to share your story. Bridget relies on these tax credits to help her family afford health care. So Patty, over to you first.
Thank you, Senator Murray, for your continued leadership on this issue and for holding strong to fight for affordable health care. So facts matter. Millions of Americans are learning that they will pay thousands more for health insurance next year. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is actively spreading misinformation on its official websites, and this crosses a line for me. People need to know what's at stake and, frankly, who's responsible. Hardworking people have relied on these tax credits to buy health insurance for themselves and their families. Some of these people have serious health conditions. For them, the idea of going without coverage can literally mean the difference between life and death. Unless Congress takes immediate action to extend them, the enhanced premium tax credits will expire at the end of the year. My office oversees the individual health insurance market. This is the market where people buy coverage if they don't get insurance from their employer. It's also where many people who are self-employed and early retirees get coverage. This year, insurers requested a 21.2% rate increase, and we found that 21% was justified, which means under state law, we must approve those rates. Up to 7% of that rate increase is due to the expiration of the enhanced premium tax credits alone. These increases are going to be tough for families already being hit with higher costs. Last year, more than 216,000 Washingtonians in the individual market qualified for enhanced premium tax credits. That's about 2/3 of our enrollees. These subsidies are what help people afford and keep coverage. If Republicans let the enhanced premium tax credits expire, the exchange estimates that up to 80,000 Washingtonians will drop their health insurance. I'm afraid this will cause us to backslide on our state's historically low 4.8% uninsured rate. That means higher costs and strains on our healthcare system as people put off preventative care. These effects will be felt by people across the state, but will hurt some of our rural communities the hardest. Speaker Johnson and others in Congress were told last March that these credits must be extended to protect hardworking Americans from losing their health care. Open enrollment for the individual market starts on Saturday and goes through January 15th. But for those Washingtonians who want their new coverage to take effect on January 1st, they will need to enroll by December 15th. That means Speaker Johnson is wrong. We don't have until December 31st to act. Congress must act now. Families are going to be making some tough decisions about their health care coverage. The federal uncertainty makes that even harder. There's only one party that controls Congress. Republicans are in charge of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And this shutdown and the impact of these rate increases are on Trump and those Republicans who refuse to act. I want to be clear. We no longer have a partner in the White House. We have an opponent. We have a president who loudly proclaims that he is not the president or leader of all Americans, just for a select few. And those few specifically include the wealthiest Americans who are not worried one bit about their health care. Trump made sure that billionaires could get their tax cuts. He poured billions more into expanding ICE. He tore down the East Wing in the middle of this shutdown so he can build his gilded ballroom. But this president can't seem to find the time to help keep health insurance more affordable for millions of Americans relying on their government to have their back. Republicans need to stop playing politics with people's health care and extend the enhanced premium tax cuts without further delay. We're at the final hour here. If congressional Republicans fail to take immediate action, the uncertainty families feel today will become permanent. So make no mistake about it. Republicans are failing the American people, and the American people deserve better. And now we have Bridget Provolenko, who is a Washingtonian whose family uses ACA tax credits to afford health coverage. Over to you, Bridget.
Thank you, Commissioner Kuderer, and thank you, Senator Murray, for having me. I guess I'll just start with, we are a family of four in Whatcom County, Bellingham. My husband is self-employed. He's a real estate broker. And I will start by saying, I think a lot of people have the interpretation of folks in real estate are just very well off. And there are times where the market's great and there are times when it's not. So being self-employed, we have to go out and find our own insurance, which we have done over the past few years. Fortunately, last year we qualified for the credits on the ACA, and it's made a huge difference. It was able to keep our premium the same as it was the prior year, which was amazing for us. Knowing that right now I cannot see what my rates are going to be for next year. I called Washington Health Finder yesterday and they were unable to show me the premiums, what they will be for next year until Saturday, which I understand, but did a little bit of math on my own. And you're hearing anywhere from 30% to 114% increase, which will equal to our family in either $525 or roughly $2,000 increase in our premium. We do okay. Sorry, I'm getting kind of but just knowing that everybody who is self-employed, small business owners, or folks who are both gainfully employed, but their employers do not cover the entire family, they need to go on this plan to help cover their children or dental insurance, which we are required to have for our kids in the state. I'm not complaining about that, just making it a reality. I would like people to understand that health insurance isn't a Democrat or Republican issue, it's an American issue. We all need to understand that healthcare is something that people need and rely on. Having a lapse in our insurance, as Commissioner said, if we don't have these done by the 15th, you may get a plan in January, but it's not going to kick in until February, which is a month that people may not be able to go. Some people are going to be fine, some people may not. They need their prescriptions, all of those things. So I just want people to understand that health insurance is very important to people. We need it. We need to make it affordable. Otherwise, our emergency rooms will be overrun with people who don't have insurance because they feel like they can get care there, which puts an extra burden on our healthcare system and our healthcare staff who work around the clock as it is. And I just hope that we can come to an agreement hopefully soon, so everything can open back up and that we can work together, come together. Everybody wants people to thrive in this world, at least I do. So by bringing this government back open and getting the insurance rates going so people can be more comfortable and feel like they don't have to worry about that compared to everything else in the world that they have to worry about, that would be great. So thank you for your time, and I'll send it back to Senator Murray.
Thank you, Bridget, for sharing what's happening to you and your family. And it's what I'm hearing from so many people. And we are just a few days away from where a lot of people are going to see those premiums. And I am extremely worried. So we are calling on the Republican leadership to work with the Democratic leadership to solve this problem so we can move forward.
Great. Appreciate your help.
Thanks, everyone. Now we have some time to take questions from any reporters in the audience who would like to ask a question. If you are a reporter and you'd like to ask a question, just use the raise hand function and we will call on you. I'll give folks a second to get their hand up. And when I call on you, if you can just say your name and outlet. We will go to Orion first.
Thanks, Naomi, and thank you all for doing this. Orion Donovan-Smith at the Spokesman Review. Senator Murray, I worry that I'm going to be repeating myself a little bit with this question. I know we've talked a few times about this, but we're nearly a month into the shutdown now. It doesn't seem to be any end in sight, and I just wonder if you can help us understand what kinds of conversations, even if informally, you're having with Republican counterparts in the Senate or in the House, for that matter. And you know, if there's any end in sight, if you can imagine how this impasse is going to change.
Well, here's the thing, Orion, which is stunning to me. I've been here a long time. I've worked on a lot of challenges between the Republicans and Democrats and found solutions and found compromises. But this is the first time ever that I have watched the President of the United States, the Speaker of the House, and the Majority Leader of the Senate, because they all are the ruling parties right now, refuse to talk to Democrats. At the same time, they're asking for Democratic votes. They're saying we need 8 of your votes, but they won't even talk to us to make sure that we are taking care of people who we just talked about, who are losing their health care tax credits. So it's stunning to me that the president is pretending like this is not a problem. He's building his ballroom and running off on foreign trips and having, big dinners, while a lot of people are really stressing, like you just heard. So what it is going to take is for the Republican leadership in the White House and here in Congress to reach out and talk to Democrats to figure out a solution to that. I don't have an answer for you on how that's going to look because they haven't even gotten in the room to talk about it, which is, to me, the most frustrating thing about all of this.
Just a quick follow-up. I know you, of course, have conversations informally with folks like Senator Collins and others who you work with on other issues. What can you give us any sense of what those conversations are involved at this point, even if not?
Well,
with,
I'm going to tell you what I told you before. I'm not going to negotiate with you or share private conversations, but I can tell you that there are a number of Republicans who are getting frustrated with their leadership for not even talking to ours.
Okay, thank you.
Great, and now we'll go to Dave with Keeper.
Hey, Senator, thank you for chatting with us today. Dave Furtado with Keeper Action News here. I just kind of had a few questions, but I'll ask one of the ones that I've been kind of sitting on since the last time we spoke. There's a lot of daylight in between both sides. You can see, the Democrats want the ACA tax exemptions to be extended. The Republicans, just want to open the government. So, as I alluded to, there's a lot of daylight. So my question is when, to use a lack of a better phrase, when is it going to be the time to man up and really kind of come together? What's stopping the progress? Obviously, we've heard about the talking points and the blame game for 30 days now, but it's getting to the point now where you've said it yourself and you've heard some of these folks that are talking about it. People are getting hurt now. So at this point, like, why are the Democrats still so steadfast in this? Can't you reasonably expect the Republicans to come to the table after you guys open the government?
Let me just say two things. First of all, I am frustrated because the Republican leadership have not even picked up the phone to call our leadership to sit down and talk about this. That is not how you find compromises, by not talking, period, end of story. So they need to do that. Yes, I'm frustrated because the Republican leadership, they're in charge here. We can pick up a phone and say, will you call me all day long? And as you have seen, our minority leaders tried to do that and it was told, we're not talking to you. So how do you solve a problem if you can't get people in a room? That is the basic thing that we are facing right now. Yes, we want to open the government. Yes, we want to make sure people are not hurting with these tax credits that are going out. And the second point I want to make, and you need to understand this, this is not just all of a sudden come up. We have been talking about the challenge that is going to hit in 2 days now for months. Way back in February and March, our insurance commissioners, like Patty, started telling us we have to extend these tax credits or we're going to hit this cliff. We have tried 3 times in the Senate to bring this up and have been turned down every time, while the Republicans were passing tax breaks for billionaires in their big, so-called big, beautiful bill. They would not bring it up then, and we were open. We were in business. We were working. So I don't see a difference between, just open up the government and we'll talk. We were there. They didn't. We are here now. They are not. It is up to them to come to us, to come to our leadership and say, we recognize that in order to get Democratic votes and to help all these people who are suffering, we need to have at least a conversation. That has not occurred.
So are you not hopeful, as I want to say, a Democratic Party, the Democrat Party, are you guys not hopeful that the Republicans would hold up their end of the deal? Should you have gone, even a couple of weeks ago and said, okay, we'll sign it. We know this is coming up. We'll sign it, but you have to talk to us. Did you, as a party, not feel like the Republicans would still hold that end of the bargain up? Should you have signed it, weeks ago?
Why would I think that they would do something today that they wouldn't do for the first 8 months of the year without us saying, you need to come to the table and work with us on this? An empty promise will not help Bridget or anybody else who is facing this crisis today.
Okay. I have one more question, but I'll save it for the end. Let everybody else get in.
Great. We will go over to the Cascadia Daily News. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hey, thank you. Owen Racer with Cascadia Daily News. This question is for the commissioner. I'm wondering if you can give some insight into why some Washington residents have received notices saying that they're eligible for tax credits, a little bit higher, sometimes far higher than what they qualify for under existing criteria, given the assumption that they will be expiring.
Well, I have not been told that. I've not seen that. If you want to send that to my office, I'm happy to look into that. But I can tell you that it's the enhanced premium tax credits that are going away. The original premium tax credits, the underlying ones, the lower ones, are permanent. They were already made permanent. So those are still going to be there. But the impact is real. And as you heard from Bridget, we're already sending out the notices, and we were prepared to act if Congress were to extend the enhanced premium tax credits. We had insurers in our state submit 2 sets of rates, one with the enhanced premium tax credits and one without. And what we're proceeding with is currently the one without, because we don't see any end in sight. As Senator Murray correctly pointed out, there's no reason to expect the Republicans to open up the government and include these now. They have to come and actually negotiate and compromise. That's what government is about. And right now what we have is classic example of dysfunction. And that's not good for the American people. And that's not good for people like Bridget. So if you want to send me that information, I'm happy to look at that. But what we're hearing is quite the opposite. The people are seeing large increases in their premiums going up, and we're doing everything we can to minimize the impact of that.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll go to C. Bohannon. If you can unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Carlene Johnson with the Center Square, and I have a question that I would appreciate response from both the Commissioner and Senator Murray to. A lot of talk on the right that it's true that the potential skyrocketing of Obamacare premiums is evidence that it's a failure. When it was launched, it was promised to be affordable, people could keep their doctors, and that, of course, never panned out. So why not reopen the government now so people can get their SNAP benefits, active duty military get paid, and then negotiate with the majority on a better, more affordable government health care program?
Okay, first of all, on the SNAP benefits and pay for all of our federal employees and for the military, let me just say that Democrats have been on the floor offering bills, and in fact, there are some Republicans offering bills on the floor, but the Republican leader has refused to bring those up and denied our attempts to even try and take care of SNAP beneficiaries. And I want to say this about SNAP because I know it's getting a lot of attention right now. Last summer in the Republicans' Big Beautiful Bill, they enacted the largest cut to SNAP in history, in American history. And today, yes, SNAP beneficiaries, we are all concerned about them. There is a Republican and a Democratic proposal to fix it, and right now the Republican leadership is saying no to that. So I find that really disingenuous, and I think it's really important we all tell the Republican leadership, bring up the SNAP benefits. We are all here to make sure that no one goes hungry in this crisis. But Democrats don't run the floor. The Senate Majority Leader is, and right now he's saying no.
Yeah, and I would say that the premise of your question is flawed. The expansion of healthcare through the ACA and our state-based exchange, coupled with the enhanced premium tax credits, has given Washington State the opportunity to lower its uninsured rate from a high of around 15% to under 5% at 4.8%. That is the lowest uninsured rate we've ever had in this state. That saves taxpayer money. That saves money because now we have people who are actually able to access health care preventatively rather than using the emergency room, which we all pay for, which is the most expensive form of coverage. So the ACA should be strengthened, not weakened. And this cut to Medicaid is one of the largest in our country's history, and it's going to hurt people. And that's just a fact. The enhanced premium tax credits, the data on them shows that they have been enormously successful. And why would the federal government stop and say that they want to cut that program that's actually working? That makes no sense. Again, I go back to the fact that this is failed leadership. It is a failure to listen. It's a failure to look at the data, and it's a failure to act. And these enhanced premium tax credits have enabled thousands of Washingtonians to access healthcare. That's a good thing. Like I said, that saves taxpayers a lot of money. And I think that it's time that Congress not just reopen, but they have to also extend these tax credits now, because, you know, this system doesn't just shift on a dime. It takes time for the insurers to go back and review, you know, the rates. In fact, when we asked for the double rates, we had to ask for them to apply based on the current setup of the enhanced premium tax credits. If they change anything, it's going to delay things even further. I mean, we'll work with it because we want to make sure that as many Washingtonians have access to healthcare as possible. But the reality is the ACA and those enhanced premium tax credits work, and we need to continue both.
I want to add one other thing on the SNAP, because I think people don't realize this, but there is a contingency fund that under every other shutdown we've had or emergency, the administration uses that contingency fund to pay SNAP benefits. They're refusing to do that. President Trump is refusing to use that contingency fund, and a number of our states are suing the president to get access to that funds because legally he is supposed to provide them.
Great. We will go back to Dave with Keeper for another question.
Right on. I appreciate it. I just kind of wanted to zoom out and to kind of take a look at a bigger picture here, because for the last almost 30 years, I think it was 1997, that fiscal year was the last time Congress passed those 12 appropriations bills that they need to pass. And it's been pretty much continuing resolutions ever since. In March, you guys had a continuing resolution, and I chatted with one of our congressmen who was on the House Appropriations Committee, and he said that he was confident that if, you know, with that continuing resolution, they'd be able to get these appropriations bills onto the floor, passed, and sent over to the other house, the other chamber, if you will, and, you know, eventually get it through. And he was confident and optimistic, he said, that they'd be able to get it done. But then again, now we're up against, we had to get another CR going into for October. That's why we're in this shutdown, because, you know, the Democrats and the Republicans can't come to a compromise, if you will. So, you know, if we've been in almost some 30 years without getting compromises, my question is, why are we comfortable staying in this situation? You know, we have these appropriations bills. They need to be passed. Why haven't we been able to do that? And we've done kicking the can down the road kind of continuing resolutions for years now.
I would disagree with your premise. A number of appropriation bills, sometimes they have been packaged together and are seen as a much larger package that we have done. The reason we're in this position right now is we were able to pass a number of our appropriations bills out of committee last year, but we had elections in November, and when the Republicans took over, it came to March, and instead of working with us to get those bills passed, and we were extremely close in doing it, they said, nope, we're just going to pass a continuing resolution till September at the president's levels and allow him to spend the money the way he is. And now they're giving us that option again. We're just going to do another continuing resolution. So I value our appropriations process. It is where Republicans and Democrats come together to fight for their states to make sure that we are getting the funding we need for the projects we know best, all of us as elected officials. It's not only what we want to do, but it is our constitutional responsibility. Under the Trump administration, we have seen a brand new theory that the president decides where all the money goes and makes all the decisions. That's not what the Constitution says. It's certainly not what our responsibility is. So yes, I do want to get those appropriations bills done. I've been working with my Republican counterpart to get those done, and I am hopeful that once we get through this, we can get those bills to the floor. But it will take the Speaker of the House to bring the House back, which they haven't been here for 5 or 6 weeks now. It will take the president to give direction to Johnson, because apparently he doesn't do anything without that direction. And then we will be able to get our bills done.
It seems like there's a lot of moving parts on that end, the back end, to kind of get everybody at the table. And then once you get all at the table, there's got to be a lot of compromise. You know, are you worried that should you guys get everybody to the table, you're just going to end up just shouting into the air and not really getting anything done.
Well, you make it sound like nobody ever talks around here. There's 100 senators. We're all on the floor. All of us are talking about this. But what we also have is Republican leadership in the House and the Senate and the White House. And we are in this horrible situation where the President of the United States is pretending like Congress doesn't exist. And we have a Speaker of the House right now who's allowing him to run it. So we need him to get back here. We need him to give direction to his party. And for my part, I'm going to keep doing my job and fighting to be a voice for Washington State.
All right, super. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you. And Naomi, I have to get back up to the floor for a vote. So I want to thank Patty and Bridget for being on here with us, and to let you all know we are going to keep fighting for people like Bridget.
Thank you.